Yeah, as Chris said, my name is Bill Anderson. I'm the director of the Cross-Border Institute at the University of Windsor. And I appreciate the opportunity from the Chartered Institute to speak in a webinar coming up in September. The title of my talk will be Infrastructure Impact on Economic Growth, Harnessing Potential in the Ontario-Michigan-Ohio Corridor. And really what I'm going to be talking about is the importance of infrastructure, especially for Canada-US trade, but how does that affect an entire corridor that is intensively involved in Canada-US trade. And, you know, Canada-US trade, it's always in the top three bilateral trade relationships in the world, and it is mostly done by truck. I think between 55 and 60% of Canada-US trade by value in most years moves by truck. And so the infrastructure of trade is the highway networks. And so you have a highway network in Canada and a highway network in the United States. And anything that moves by trucking trade is going to use both of those networks. And therefore, a very critical thing is the infrastructure that connects the networks up. And so a lot of the emphasis in my talk is going to be on the new Gordie Howe International Bridge project. We recently did an economic study on that at the Cross-Border Institute, which will be available for download to anyone who's interested. But really, you need to think about a project like that bridge project not as just an individual piece of infrastructure that covers, 3 or 5 kilometers or whatever it is, but rather in terms of the way it ties up the infrastructure system that facilitates Canada-US trade. And one of the things that's interesting to look at is the fact that the major highways that are used in Canada-US trade, the 401 highway in Canada and the I-75 in the United States, have been undergoing major improvements, major upgrades, expansion and whatnot. And so those two projects are essentially linked together into a trade corridor by the Gordie Howe Bridge. And so the bridge is much more important from the perspective of linking those corridors together rather than just the idea of getting trucks across the border. So we'll be looking at various ways. We'll be looking at what the patterns of trade are. We'll be looking at various ways that trade benefits from improved transportation infrastructure services. And then we'll be looking at what are some of the economic opportunities that should be opened up by this improved trade corridor, and talk a little bit about a few recommendations in terms of what various levels of government and also what the private sector can be doing to take advantage of what is a very significant upgrade in the infrastructure that supports most of the trade between the United States and Canada.